Well, good morning. This is a great day for the University of Texas and for Longhorn Nation. We're here to announce a new leader for the University of Texas athletics. But before I begin, I want to give my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to Mike Perrin. A little over 2 years ago, Mike stepped up to serve this university, to serve Texas athletics. There was a lot of turbulence and a lot of problems within the athletics department, with our fans, our loyal fans, and Longhorn Nation. And over the past 2 years, Mike Perrin has provided integrity, stability, calmness, helped address a number of problems that were important to solve, and has brought Texas athletics to a new stage. So I'd like to begin this press conference with a big round of applause for Mike Perrin. And I'd also like to recognize and thank Chris Plonsky, leading women's athletics here in the department, a longtime member of the department, an integral part of the team here and of the leadership. And Chris Plonsky has been a tremendous partner throughout the entire endeavor of the past 2.5 years that I've been president of the university. I am so excited to introduce the new Vice President and Director of Athletics for the University of Texas, Mr. Chris Del Conte. Stand up. This is such a wonderful day for the University of Texas, and I observed Chris in the Big 12, being a member of the Big 12 board for the past 2 years, and what he has done at TCU to take that program to new heights, to heights that were unimagined when he began at TCU in 2009. And Chris has the vision for how important athletics is for a great university, the importance of the student-athlete experience on the field or in the court and in the classroom. He is an AD for the coaches and recognizes the coaches are the key people that are motivating young men and women here at the University of Texas. And he understands athletics as a business and how we all have to need to work together to serve our student-athletes and serve our university, but also be financially viable in a changing media environment. And so with the platform and that long history of Texas athletics, the platform that Mike Perrin has stabilized over the past 2 years, I am so optimistic for Texas athletics and our great university to have Chris Del Conte leading athletics here. Please welcome Chris Del Conte.
Hi, everybody. I am so honored to be here today. So honored. But before I get to my remarks, which I probably will never read, President Venvis, thank you for this incredible opportunity. Your leadership and the team you've built on your cabinet when I met with you on Monday was inspiring. And you've convinced me that what starts here changes the world. And with the team you're building and what you're trying to do, I am just honored that you allowed me to be a part of your team. And thank you for having me. Mr. Perrin, a lot has been said. Marlene, how are you? Both. When times needed you most, you were in a Letterman. You knew what Texas needed. It was a rocky road, and you settled the road down. You put us in a place where the university is first and foremost. Thank you for your leadership, you both. You've been spectacular. CP, you've always been here. I love our relationship. I love what you've done for the University of Texas, and I can't wait to get started to work with you on a daily basis. Before I introduce my wife, I'd like to it's a pretty crazy time for me today. Today is interesting. I have an individual I brought down, Mr. Jim Livingood. I used to work for him at the University of Arizona. I grew up in a children's home in Taos, New Mexico. Sport was my opportunity to do something special. Gave me an opportunity to do something I never thought possible. Get a scholarship. Get a scholarship. And one individual that was a house parent at the ranch in Taos, New Mexico, where I grew up, became a doctor at the Washington State University. He got me a job in the maintenance department. I worked for free for 3 years. I left Washington State with $53,000 in student loans. My wife was Sally Mae. Y'all don't know who the loan lady is, but I love the loan lady. It took me 18 years to pay her off. And while I married my wife, she finally paid it off for me. I love you, honey. But one individual took a job, and that was Mr. Livengood. Gave me a chance to work for him. So, Mr. Livengood, thank you for being here today. I love you. DeLoss Dodds. Wow. Much has been made of our relationship. You're a beacon in our industry. Someone that I looked up to my whole life. And when I came down and had that fateful conversation about Texas Christian University, I do not remember much of that conversation except the next day I needed 2 aspirin. But you have been a leader of many. I truly, truly love you. And you're an amazing individual. And I can't thank you for what you've done for the University of Texas, the athletic industry, but me personally. And thank you so much for being here today. My wife, the wind beneath my wings. Love you. Thank you. By the way, I'm an amazing crier. I cry when we win, I cry when we lose, and it's okay to show emotion because it means you're real. It means you're real. To my 2 kids, it's interesting when I asked my kids, I met President Venvis on Monday. It happened so quickly. Wednesday night, I came home and said, girls, many opportunities had come and passed. And I said, ladies, I'd like to do this. And they said, Dad, you promised me that I would wait till I graduate. And I looked at them, I said, you're right. I apologize. Can you think about it? The next morning, I received a text from one of my girls. And it's funny, I will read it to you. Life is all about taking risks. If you never take a risk, you'll never achieve your dreams. Profound from a 16-year-old who's going to have to move high schools. Profound. My other daughter wrote, Dad, listen to Miley Cyrus, A Climb. I'm all in. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I get one profound statement, and I'm like sitting there babbling, eating my Cheerios going, wow. And the other one says, hey, Dad, listen to Miley Cyrus, that's her name, right, Sophia? Climb, it will not disappoint. I'm like, okay, I got that. To TCU, oh boy, the chancellor, the coaches, the student athletes. We've done some amazing things at Texas Christian University that I never thought possible. But we got in the Big 12 because one individual said, TCU's worthy. And that fateful night, my relationship was set with the University of Texas. And DeLoss Dodds allowed that to happen. And that's been the greatest thing that's happened at TCU. It's been the greatest thing that's happened at TCU, getting us in the Big 12. So someone asked, why Texas? Why Texas and why now? Why did Darrell Royal leave Washington to come here? Think about that. DeLoss Dodds left K-State. Coach Conrad, she had a stopover at UT Arlington. I know he had a slight stopover at Baylor too. We'll talk about that later. Why did they come here? Shaka Smart. The great Mac Brown. Mac Brown's here today, and Coach Brown, boy oh boy, it had been a long time since he won a national championship at the University of Texas. And when you came here, you showed it was possible. And thank you so much for you've taught this institution that championships in football are possible. And your leadership and your counsel is going to be sorely needed by me. And thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, Mac Brown. Karen Aston left UNT. Shaka left VCU. Why? Because this is the University of Texas. The standard of intercollegiate athletics starts here. DeLoss laid that groundwork. DeLoss laid that groundwork. CP helped them every single step of the way, and Mike made sure we got right back to it. That's why you come here. That's why you come here. Because when you're at the University of Texas, your opportunity to win a championship is no greater than here. And that's why I'm here. My philosophy is simple. My job is to support coaches and student athletes in their endeavors to win championships, period. That is it. I have a reverse pyramid. I am a servant leader. My father taught me three things. If you knew my parents, my father passed away, but he was a servant leader. And he decided to start a children's home. And I was very fortunate to work up in that environment. Be humble, be honest, and serve others. To the Longhorn Nation, I can promise you, I will serve you to the best of my abilities. I will always be honest to you, and I will always answer any question you have. And I will humbly serve you. I can't thank you enough for giving me this opportunity. Go Horns.
If you have a question, raise your hand and get you a microphone.
Greg, obviously, we all knew that Mike was signed up through the end of August, but why now? Why strike now? Is there something about the way the football team finished or going into the spring? Why now?
This was a good time to do a change. The regular football season has ended. I wanted to be ahead of any other potential searches. Conte is a hot commodity, and I wanted to get him here to Texas before he had too many other alluring offers.
Did y'all first talk at the Football Foundation dinner?
We met a week ago today in New York City around the dinner, and that's where we finalized the deal.
Question, Kirk in the front.
Yeah, Greg, when exactly did you start targeting Chris as your guy, and is there one main quality that stood out to you?
Well, as I mentioned in my opening comments, I have seen Chris work in the Big 12 and have been very impressed with him from the first time I met him. Now, he is a great communicator. He is a visionary, but also that's not enough. He can actually accomplish that vision. He can get things done, and that's what he's done at TCU.
This question, Cedric, to the left.
Greg, before you met him, what was your outward impression of him, and then was there anything that you didn't know about him after speaking with him that stood out to you?
Well, I met Chris very early on when I joined the Big 12 board. As you guys know, I didn't know a whole lot about athletics before I became president 2.5 years ago, so I'm still learning, Brian, right? Brian mentions that. So I knew him. I had met Chris very early on. Chris's story about his parents and his upbringing is truly inspirational. And once you get to know Chris and understand who he is, you can see how his unique upbringing and the values that his parents instilled on him guides him in everything he does around athletics.
All right, now we'll bring Crystal Conte back up. Thank you, President Findon.
Thank you.
Raise your hands for questions. Start with Sam
Hey,
on the left.
Sam.
Chris, what is your vision for this program?
I think the vision for the University of Texas has been set long ago. It's to win championships, to do it the right way. To do it the right way, to win championships, to be a beacon for others to follow. The standard of intercollegiate athletics has been set here. And that's the vision, simple. As Mr. Parent told me this morning or last night on a conversation, Letterman built this program. We're sweat and tears. I'm a custodian of their efforts, of coaches' efforts. Every coach here, when you look at Shaka Smart in the recruiting classes here, why did he come here? Why did he leave VCU? Had many other opportunities. He came here for one reason. He knows he can win a national championship here, and that's why he's here. And my job is to give him and help him in any way I can for him to achieve that goal.
Next question, Roger Wallace on the right.
Hi, Chris. You wake up one morning and you're the TCU AD where you celebrate wins over Texas, I'm sure, as much as anything else, and then you're the Texas AD. What's the emotion of kind of shifting that allegiance?
Well, what was crazy about this, and I was saying it, I got lost in my comments because I was so emotional, and I apologize for that, is today I get a phone call from Gary Patterson this morning. I love you, but I hate you today, my man. I said, I love that. That's what it's all about, right? But this afternoon, and I alluded to, I didn't get a chance to talk about it, this afternoon is when I left a house parent at Washington State. I mean, when I was at the ranch, the house parent became the doctor at Washington State. He is now being named He asked me to take care of his son. So think about this. He asked me to take care of his son. So a house parent who was at the ranch goes to Washington State, becomes a team doctor. He gets me a job through Mr. Livengood, and they gave me an opportunity. And when he was dying, he said, "Can you please take care of my son?" I said, "Yes, sir." Today, at 2:30, he's being named the AD at TCU. It's pretty awesome. Now, I love him, but I can't wait till Saturdays. Hello. And Gary told me the same thing this morning. I love those coaches. I love them. You know, Coach DeLoss's assistant was Kelsey Patterson, who, when he was here, he married Gary, and he always said every time we would talk, "How's Kelsey?" It's about relationships. It is. Sally and Mac Brown are very close to the Pattersons. But on Saturday on the playing fields, it's all about the Horns. But yesterday it was difficult. But we move on today.
Brian in the center.
How you doing, Chris?
Hi, B.
In many respects, this is a $200 million business
Yes,
that you've taken control over. You know, everybody around the Big 12 knows that, or at least thinks that Texas has all this money. But this is also a school that's going to need to build a new arena at some point. They want to do a South End Zone project. And they've had a lot of turnover in the Longhorn Foundation. What is your thoughts initially on getting fundraising going, because that is one of your specialties?
Well, I think I just got hired today. You know, we're supposed to ask softball questions on your press conference, okay? You two Yardbirds will start with softball questions, you know, nothing hard. Like, we just love you. Then, you know, tomorrow you can take me to the woodshed. I think that we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I do think that anything that is done to the vision of our president and our coaches and our student athletes. My job is to carry that out. It is easy. But every Longhorn is going to be having to take participant in that. There's so many goals for this institution. And we will get those settled. We'll look at them, dust off the old plans, see where they're at, and we'll get to work immediately asking people to support this vision. But ultimately, we're asking people to support the vision of our coaches and student athletes. If we want to win championships, one thing that I loved about TCU was there's 58,000 living alumni. They're all rowing the boat in the same direction. It is a tsunami that can't be stopped. We know when this place is rowing the boat in the same direction, there's nothing that can stop it. And it might calm those waters and put us in a position today where it is a tsunami that's coming with a reckoning. And my job is just to guide that.
Got Chip on the right.
Oh, Chip Brown.
Chris, how you
Real
doing?
Nice. Nice uni. Thanks for dressing up.
You know, try. Could you talk about your relationship with Tom Herman? You know, and what role did that play? I mean, obviously football is a huge factor for any Texas athletic director.
Well, I've known Tom Herman since my days at Rice, when we hired David Bailiff to become the head football coach at Rice. He brought a staff with him from Texas State, and I had a chance to meet Tom. And I've known Tom since 2007. Tremendous young man, has great drive. Spent his formative years on the 40 acres. He has great reverence for Mac Brown, and Mac Brown's the one that got him into this business and took a chance on him. And Tom's a student of the game, and student of organizations and culture. And you see that the recruiting class he has right now, it's phenomenal. And he's going to do a great job for us. And my job is I just can't wait to get here and roll up my sleeves with him and go to work with him on a daily basis. At the end of the day, this organization is about coaches and student athletes. And DeLoss told me a great device last night. Support them. They're the heroes. And that'll be my job. And Tom is fantastic. And so are every other coach here. We have phenomenal coaches. You look at their records and what they're doing now, it's second to none.
Kirk in the center.
Yeah, Chris, I'm curious what your view of Texas was from afar. Was something broken, and are you the guy to fix it?
I don't think anything was ever broken. Every organization goes through patches, right? This happens just to be on the biggest microscope, that anytime there's a bump in the road, when you lose leadership after 33 years, football coaches, basketball coaches, baseball coaches that have been phenomenal, you are going to have a little bit of adjusting period, right? But every organization around the country, you can look at and I'm not going to name any other school, you can do your homework. They've all go through that. Mike came in and said, guess what? It's always about the University of Texas. It's always been about this University of Texas. And this place can ride any rocky road. And a lot of it is because people. There's a lot of people that were here for such a long time, so when they all retired in the times they did, it just takes a little while, right? So there's, from afar, this has always been the University of Texas. It's always been the beacon, and there's always been the institution around the country that people look to for leadership and follow and realize that when you come here, you can win a national championship. And we will roll up our sleeves and do our very best to accomplish that.
Dennis on the right.
It's the obligatory new UTAD question. Thoughts on A&M and renewing the rivalry?
My man, I said no hard questions. I just got here. I think we'll look at that. Again, I don't have any comment on that today, and I'm not just being, I don't know. I think that any time, I'll say this, and I listened to Coach Brown talk about one time, he goes, what is college athletics about? It's about rivalries. And he had this quote, rivalries in college athletics are so important that the water cooler conversations on Mondays are awesome. I love the Red River Shootout and all that goes on with that OU Texas game. It is fantastic. And those things are what galvanize, and when we stayed in the Big 12 and DeLoss stayed and said this is where we're going to be at, it's because football and regional rivalries are so important to the community. And I know that. I know that's important to everybody. But that particular question, you know, that's, we'll address that. And remember, football, we're so far out. I have TCU football scheduled to 2030. Can you imagine? They're going to be in 2030. Who scheduled that game? Oh, Del Conte wrote a contract in 2017. So football's so far out, and we schedule so far out. But we have a great non-conference schedule. I think we have USC, Maryland next year, and they have LSU coming up. It's awesome. But we'll look at that down the road. It's none of my, yes, sir?
Stay with Bob on the right.
How you doing, Chris? People keep asking why you left TCU for Texas. Why do you think Texas wanted you?
I have no idea. You know, I have a funny story. I'm just walking down New York City. We had CFP meetings and the National Football Foundation meetings, and I get a phone call. He's pretty stealth. Bob's Chop House, 6:30. Like, who is this? I press the read down. Hello, sir. Yes, I'll be right there. I got it, my man. I walk in, back corner, take a right. We go in the back corner, we sit down, and we had a conversation. And I was floored. And I think it's a testament to the student athletes at TCU and the coaches and what they've done, and the donors that believed in the mission, the vision that we set forth. And when you have leadership at the top that believes in intercollegiate athletics and what it stands for, you cannot help but be successful. When he said, I want to talk to you about this position, I was floored. I was honored. Look back where I came from. I was like, holy cow. I came back and read my daughter's quote, and I was just like, you know what? If there's ever a chance in life, we have one rodeo, right? We have one rodeo, and my thought was, if I'm ever going to do it, why not now? Why not at the University of Texas? And you know, it's like riding a bull. You got 8 seconds. Let's hang on, see what we can do. It's awesome.
Cedric on the left.
Chris, how important will DeLoss's counsel be as you take on this undertaking?
Critical. Jody Conrad's counsel is going to be critical. CP's counsel is going to be critical. Mac Brown's counsel is going to be critical. Mike's are. These are people that were here. Anyone that ever wore that burnt orange uniform is going to be critical. I am the custodian of their program. I take every advice in, I listen to them, and you do the very best job to serve them, but always be honest in your remarks, right? Always be honest in your remarks, and be humble doing it. It's about them, and I'm just here for them. So all their voices are going to be critical, but DeLoss has been here 33 years. A lot of my counsel I call Mr. Livengood, who is my mentor, and we talk a lot about things. So, but when it comes to all things Texas, everyone has a voice.
Take four last ones, starting with Steve in the back right, back center.
Hi, Chris. Steve Haywood. Welcome aboard. When you drive up here this morning and you see the stadium and you understand this real scope of this finally, and understand that this is your baby now, has it even hit you yet, the awesomeness of the job that you have?
No, but I sat in the box there and said a prayer, said, God help me. I'm ready for this. I prepared for this. I got a family behind me that loves me. You're never prepared for anything in life, right? You don't know. And you can ask Shaka when he left VCU, was he prepared for this job? He's prepared every step of the way when he was at VCU to build a great program. And when you get here, you do the very best job you can. I am prepared for this job. But there will be things that happen along the way that we'll have to make adjustments. But you know, it is still a 10-foot rim. It's still 100 yards. And you have 523 student athletes trying to win championships. And as long as you put them first and coaches first, everything else is immaterial, right? I will say this, it's not about politics with me. It's not. I'm not a political fellow. I'm a fellow that what you see is what you get. I will always be straight with you.
Jim in the center.
Chris, Jim Vertuno with the Associated Press. Texas has long been distinct for having separate men's and women's athletics departments. Chris Plonsky is still here. I understand kind of the leadership ladder now is a little bit different. What's that department? What kind of changes are going to be made there, if any, and what do you see Chris's role going forward at this point?
There is no changes. Chris Plonsky is a star. I absolutely adore her. We are going to have a relationship of working together. Title IX is the greatest thing that's ever happened in college athletics. Provided opportunity for women to participate in intercollegiate athletics. What an awesome opportunity that is. And she's been a phenomenal steward of the University of Texas. Chris Plonsky is a steward of the University of Texas, and she is great. And we will have a working relationship together. Who reporting night's nothing. Who do you serve? You serve coaches and student athletes, period. And that should be the responsibility of all of us, right? And that is taught by DeLoss. He always said, there's no one or the other. It's the University of Texas first and foremost. So I think when you get to know me and spend time with me, you'll realize that I have 2 daughters, I have a wife and 3 cats. They're all women. So at the end of the day, it's about the university and what's right for the university.
2 last ones, starting with Anwar in the center.
Right here, Coach.
Hey.
Hey, nice to meet you, Anwar Richardson.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. So I'll give you, I got 2 questions for you, and one of them will be a softball for you.
Real nice.
Okay. The first one will be, do you have a priority list of things that you would like to kind of achieve when, your first couple of days on the job? And like in addition to that, where would like the game day student experience kind of rank on that list?
Well, let's back up. I think the most important thing is for me to meet our entire staff first and foremost, and all of our student athletes, right? I want to get to meet them, know them, talk to them. We are going to do a extensive deep dive over the next 2 months, SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, all the typical things you do in 100 days. But the next 3 or 4 days is talking to our constituents and just listen to them. For the next several months, it'll be look, listen, and learn. I don't have all the answers. I have an opinion. And the opinion is shared by 500,000 living alumni, 60,000 students, 500 athletes. We will all have that conversation and share those and look to what's right. But there's not an answer tomorrow. I won't have everything.
Your softball then question is, after years of compiling TCU gear, what are you going to do with all that? Does this hit eBay, Facebook? What are you going to do with all that?
They have a new AD that I happen to know, so I'm going to donate all my ties to him. And my bride bought me this smoking hot tie today. It looks pretty awesome, huh? So I'm pretty fired up. But I do have a partnership in a clothing store, so I will be fast order. Burnt orange is coming.
All right, we'll close with Chuck on the back left.
Hi, Chuck.
Hi, Chris. You had mentioned being prepared for this job. At the same time, mentioned TCU had 58,000 living alumni, which wouldn't even fill up the stadium behind us. Just in terms of the enormity of the Texas job from the standpoint of everything, from the alumni, the donor base, even the expectations, what about that challenge?
I think that's why you come to the University of Texas, for that challenge. The standard has been set. Championships and doing it the right way and providing opportunity for young people to get a great education. And when you're so bold as an institution to say what starts here changes the world, and they say that humbly because they mean it, right? It's not arrogance, they mean it. It's why you come here, because you have that opportunity to do that, to be a part of that. So if you're not ready for those expectations and that challenge, you should not be at this podium. TCU has spent its entire life was the hunter. They hired coaches that were trying to get out of the wilderness to be the hunter. Who were they chasing? The University of Texas. Who were they chasing? Anyone that was on that ball field. And they've caught them, a lot of them. They've done a great job, and it was great to be a part of that. But those expectations were not there at the beginning. They grew into those expectations. This expectation has always been here. And that's the challenge of being the Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics at the University of Texas, is embracing that challenge, helping our coaches and our student athletes achieve their dreams.
Thank you, everyone. We'll have one more photo President Bendis.